What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this 4-game men's Olympic basketball slate on Draftkings.com. If you guys want some information on these showdown slates, I will have a video up shortly after this, but if you guys are watching this on Friday, it's already up. So make sure to go check out my channel. If you guys are new here, or if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. You know, only 50% of you guys watching my videos are even subscribed. It takes nothing. It's free. Make sure to hit that button, and then make sure to like and comment as well. Helps me out more than you could possibly know. Just comment that you're doing it for the algorithm. Really helps me get more viewership, put my videos out there to, so more people can see. If you guys want some more information for free, make sure to join the Discord. We are at over 1,100 members. A lot of big things coming, and it's completely free. If you guys want to read my game notes, which is pretty much a written version of this video, it is already up as you guys are watching this video in the Discord. Yeah, we had another successful night yesterday. I mean, we're like inching very, very close to taking down these big tournaments. We had somebody take second place 2 days ago, or yesterday, I suppose, and then today we were literally inches away from taking it down as a collective. If you guys want to get my exact cheat sheet, my exact player pool, and my lineup core with suggestions on how to finish your own lineups to become a winning player, make sure to join that Patreon. It is linked just below. $25 a month. And yeah, I believe it's very, very cheap for what you're getting out of it, especially when it comes to content like this. And then Summer League is literally right around the corner, and then NFL preseason. These are the kind of slates that you can really take advantage of and be very, very profitable on. But let's just jump right into this slate. So, yeah, I've already recorded this once, and it was like a 30-minute video, so I'm going to try to make this one a bit faster. We'll start off with France versus Iran, a 156.5 over-under. France are currently 26-point favorites. France, they are 2-0 so far in the Olympics. The starters, they will play big minutes, as we saw in the first game, if the game is competitive. But in the second game, they beat the Czech Republic by 20 points, and the starters outside of Batum didn't see the floor in the fourth quarter, so their minutes were cut back quite a bit. Only really interested in Evan Fournier from this team. I think Gershon Yabusele, he is still 3,200 at a very, very weak power forward position. So he is going to make it into some of my lineups. It says on here and other sites that he only played 6 minutes. This is not true. I watched the game. He played about 16 minutes, which, you know, that doesn't make his fantasy production any better, but it's a lot better seeing that he played 18 and 16 minutes rather than 18 and 6 minutes. So in the first game when he played 18 minutes, he actually exited the game twice due to an eye injury for one of them, and then the second exit, it was for a knee injury, but he ended up being fine. He is a good permanent producer if you go back to the preparation games. So if he ends up playing better than he has these first two games, they will stretch his minutes out a bit more, and he's only 3,200. I'm probably going to end up on a bit of him. A few other notes: Andrew Albisi ended up making his debut. He missed the first game, ended up playing last time out, played 13.5 minutes. He's a point guard, so could eat into some of the minutes of maybe a guy like Hurdle or Nando De Colo. And then Frank Ntilikina, so he played all the preparation games, missed the first two games, and then last game he was questionable, and he was going to try to warm up and see if he's able to play. It turned out that he was not able to play, but it looks like he's on the brink of playing, so I would not be the least bit surprised if he ended up playing in this game. He is only 3,100, played 17 minutes in the preparation games, 19.3 minutes per game in the last 2019-2020 World Cup. So I'm not necessarily interested in him at 3,100, but I think it takes away minutes from guys like De Colo and Hurdle, who have been playing all the minutes at the guard spot. Move over to Iran. Yeah, this team is dog water. They overperformed in their first game, almost beating the Czech Republic, and then we saw them against USA exposed for what they really are, losing 120-66. They are by far the worst team in this Olympics. Yeah, would not be the least bit surprised if this game blew out again. There's no way I'm touching Haddadi at 9,000. Although I will say, if you think this game is going to stay competitive, it's probably going to be on the back of Haddadi. And then the cheaper guys like Yak, Jams, and Nick, I think that, in the first game, they all played like 30 plus minutes, 29 plus minutes. Because the game was close. I think if this, and then the last game obviously blew out by nearly 60 points, and so they only played like 25 minutes, which is still promising for these prices. I do prefer James to all of these value plays, and even in cash games, I do trust James. He's their true point guard, going to be the facilitator distributing the ball, so it doesn't just need to score. He can get peripheral stats as well. So I do like James, but I do think that if this game is within 25, 26 points, like the line indicates, that they could still probably play around 30 minutes, which would be enough time for them to pay off their tag at their current price tags. And I think that their ownership is going to be a bit lower due to recency bias of the last game. Move over to Nigeria versus Italy, a 174.5 over-under, the second highest over-under on the slate. Italy are 6.5 point favorites. Start with this Nigeria team. This team continues to spread out the minutes just way too much. Really, the only guy I'm interested in is Jordan Nwora at 5,100. We got a price raise from 4,000 to 5,100 after his 50 fantasy point production that he got last time out. Ended up shooting 13 for 20 for 33 real points in a loss to Germany. Unbelievable, but ended up playing 30 minutes, which is an outlier for this Nigeria team. Most of these guys play like high teens or low 20s, so it was good to see that that when he is shooting well, he's going to earn himself more minutes, and he has the brightest of green lights to shoot on this team, by far the most shots from anybody on this Nigeria team, and he played 24 minutes in his first game. So I do like Jordan Nwora still. I'm going to be going back to the well with him. Everybody else on this team is GPP only, and I can't even really consider them. Maybe Precious, just because of how weak that position is, but for 6,700, I mean, it's hard for me to get there. He was dealing with foul trouble last time out, but I don't really imagine him playing any more than like 22, 24 minutes. This Italy team, Gallinari, if you want to read my game notes, I'll go over a bit about Gallinari, but, he's came off the bench in each of these two games just because he wasn't in these qualifying games, and they qualified without him, so he's kind of respectfully coming off the bench and letting them do their own thing. But I do believe that the volatility of Gallinari is just like through the roof, because he barely played last game, had a handful of shots, they lost. But in their first game, as we remember, he played 8 minutes in the first half. In the second half, he played the last 17 minutes of that game, closed it out, played 17 of the 20 minutes. So I think that there is a chance that he plays bigger minutes, like 28, 30 minutes. If you go back to every other time he's in the World Cup, or when he's in the Olympics, he is leading this team. And while he is older, he's still clearly their best player. And a lot of it has to do with how well the rest of their team is shooting. Now, if they're not shooting as well, Gallinari can earn these minutes and just start going off, especially against this poor defensive Nigerian team. So Gallinari, if I'm only playing one lineup, I'm probably not playing him, but I do think that if you're playing multiple lineups, he's definitely going to be in my player pool. Nobody is going to play him because they've essentially got burned by him 2 times in a row, especially after last time. People are really not going to go back to him, but I do think that recency bias can bite you in the ass. But if you look over the course of history of Danilo Gallinari in international games, he does a lot better. And then one of the reasons why he hasn't been shooting or playing all that much is because of how well Fettuccini has been playing. He is at 7,100, has played 29 and 30 minutes, has gotten a 1,600 price raise since the beginning of the Olympics. But he's been shooting 67% from 3. That's not very sustainable. And if he's not shooting that well, he's not going to be scoring that well, because he's probably not going to be playing as many minutes if he's not shooting 67% from 3 or so well from a field goal percentage standpoint anyways. So I don't mind Fettuccini. I think he's pretty safe for cash games, but just don't be surprised when he doesn't pay off this 7,100 price tag. Nico Mannion, one of my favorite GPP plays on the slate, only 5,700, has been coming off the bench, but has played 24 minutes in each of these last 2 games. He shot 13 and 10 times, and it really just bleeds into what he was doing in the preparation games, really bleeding into, or the qualifying games rather, bleeding into what these first 2 Olympic games. So while he's out there, he's going to be super, super active. And with how well he's been playing, I think he's slowly going to have an increased role. It is very promising that he has been closing these games as the point guard. So we don't have to really worry about Spisu taking away minutes from him. So I do like Nico Mannion in GPPs, and then Achille Polonara. He's been a staple for this team for years. He's only 4,900, does cover. He is power forward eligible. So again, another weak power forward spot. His minutes have definitely come down with Gallinari now joining the team, but he was shooting 69.2% in the qualifying games, but in the first 2 Olympic games, he's only shooting 27.8%, so neither of those are very sustainable. He's going to be somewhere in the middle, so if he starts shooting better, I think he's going to earn himself more minutes, and he's already been playing like 24 minutes per game, so I think the upside, and if he's making more shots, it's hard for me to imagine him not getting up near the 30-minute range. And and him scoring like well over 20 fantasy points. So I don't mind Polonara. He's a pretty solid play for me. Move over to Germany versus Australia, 171.5 over under. Australia are 8.5 point favorites. Germany, they are just a massive, massive team with Voigtman and Thyman starting, and then Wagner coming off the bench. Now Wagner, whether it differentiates what site you're looking at because the minutes are very skewed, but from what I can gather, he played 20 minutes in the first game, 17 in the second game. Like, they're all messed up. On here it says that he only played 12 minutes in this last game. That's not true. He played 17 minutes, but he was on pace to play way more minutes, but he was in severe foul trouble. But in those 17 minutes, he had 17 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, and 3 steals. So, and he was on his way to scoring like 40 plus fantasy points. Now, he's a guy that's going to be like 1% owned. Deserves more ownership than that for sure. It is kind of troublesome with him coming off the bench, but in the first game, he did start the second half. So I think if he can avoid foul trouble, he has the upside of playing 25 plus minutes like we saw in the preparation games and absolutely going nuclear at very, very low ownership. But the outcome of him, the possibility of him doing that, or the probability rather of him doing that, is not the highest. Now, on this team, the beacon of consistency is Maudao Low, only 7,400. Played 29 and 28 minutes in each of the first 2 games. He will shoot a good bit, but his peripheral stats are on point. He is their main ball handler and facilitator. They don't have very many guards, and so he's the guy that's going to be out there kind of running the show at all times. Don't mind him at 7,400. He has been having a turnover problem, but I don't think that's deterring them from playing him any less. I'd also like to talk about Thyman and Opes. So Opes has been starting. He's 3,900. He is a 3-point shooter, and that's about it. If we look at it, he's played 29 minutes in each of his first 2 games, has picked up 0 rebounds in 58 minutes of playing time, and only 2 assists and only 2 steals. So if his shot is not falling, you could fall into big trouble even with his price tag. Like, he could score single-digit fantasy points very, very easily. And if he's not shooting well, they'll just give him less time. And obviously, this guy needs all the time he can get. But I will say that if you go back to the preparation games, he was averaging a little over 2 rebounds and a little over 2 assists per game. So his peripherals should come up. But that being said, 3,900, I think he's a decent value play, but he is at a very stacked point guard position, which is probably going to lead me to not playing all that much of him. And then Thyman, much like Gershon Yabusele, probably going to play around 20 minutes, especially with how big this Australia team can play. They're going to need his size again. And at 3,600, he's a good per minute producer. If he can play about 20 minutes, which is what he's been doing lately, don't mind him whatsoever. And then the Australia team, I'm just going to keep playing Patty Mills. I feel like a broken record talking about him. They've blown out Nigeria, and then they played a close game against Italy. In each of those games, he played 35 and 36 minutes. So it's hard for me to go away from him. And last time out, he had a poor game, and that was because he was shooting very, very poorly. He shot 1 for 8 in that fourth quarter, so he could have had a much larger game. But this is a good defensive matchup. This Germany team is not very good on defense. He should have his way with guys like Andreas Obst and Maldau Low. So I'm going to go back to the well with Patty Mills. Blowout or not, he's going to be playing massive minutes. And then the bigs are the story of this team, I guess, with Jock Landale, Nicholas Kay, and Aaron Baines. With Baines and Landale starting, they have 3 near 7-footers starting. Really 3 centers, 3 bigs, but more so than ever, they're going to need their size against Germany when they have Thiemann, Wagner, and Voigtman. So guys like Aaron Baines at 4,000, we went back to the well with him last time. He served us very well. If you followed me for a while, Aaron Baines has done very good things for us. I think in this game that with him being like a true, just a bigger human than Nicholas Kay, I think that he could get a boost in minutes and play like somewhere in like the 20 to 24 minute range, which is very good for him because he's only played 15 and 14 minutes. Like he was playing very well in this last game. But they didn't really need his true size against Italy because Italy is a small team. But now they're facing a big team in Germany. And so I think that there is a sneaky chance that he plays like 20 plus minutes, and we know how good he is on a per minute basis. And then against Nigeria, like if you watched my past video and heard me talk about it, he just like wasn't playing well and they benched him because of it. I do think that there is a good chance Aaron Baines plays bigger minutes. If I were to pick one guy, I'm probably gonna go with Nicholas Kay. I think his minutes are a bit safer, but I'm telling you guys, I would not be surprised at all with this game environment if Baines played more than Nicholas Kay. And I know that's very contrarian to say, but hey, I mean, that's sometimes you need plays like that to get takedowns. And Nicholas Kay, I know is going to be very popular. I'm probably going to play him in my main lineup. I don't know. I might switch to Aaron Baines, but if you want to make that pivot from Kay to Baines, I don't think it's that bad of a play. Move over to the last game of the slate, and the game I'm the least interested in, Czech Republic versus Team USA. It does have the highest over-under at 183.5, but Team USA being 23.5 point favorites. And I think this Czech Republic team is not very good at all, so honestly, I think Team USA should handle them and should cover that 23.5 points. But the Czech Republic, so they're 1-1 so far. They barely beat Iran, which is embarrassing in itself, and then they lost to France by 20 points, but despite them getting blown out to France, Satoransky continued to play 35 minutes. So I'm going to be going back to the well with him at 8,100. He has played 35 minutes in each of the last 2 games, like I said, but has scored 35 and 35.25 fantasy points in each of those 2 outings. And that's with him only averaging 10 points per game. If you go back to all the other World Cups and Olympics games, he's used to averaging like 15, 16 plus points per game. So he's been shooting poorly. If that turns around in a much faster paced game against Team USA, he could put up 45, 50 fantasy points at 8,100. It's hard for me to look away from him. A lot of people are going to be on guys like Jan Vesely. He is a safer power forward option at $7,000, although his numbers are pretty skewed. So he played 32 minutes and scored 35.75 fantasy points this last game out, but literally all of his production, like 21 fantasy points, came in that last quarter when the game was out of hand and France's starters were off of the court, and he was playing at the 5. Andrej got booted out because they ended up going small with Vesely at the 5, trying to come back. Now, obviously, that could happen again. They're 23.5 point dogs. So if this game blows out again, Vesely could get all the fourth quarter run at the 5, and he could do this again. So just some thoughts on that. And then Andrej Balvin, he is 4,500, likely to be chalk just because of the outing he had again. The first game, he had a really weird rotation where he ended up only playing 19 minutes, but put up 20 fantasy points, which is a good score. Even at 4,500, I would accept 20 fantasy points. But last game, while the game was somewhat competitive, he played 27 minutes and didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter, put up 37.5 fantasy points. I think we see a similar situation before this game ends up blowing out. I think he probably plays 25 to 28 minutes and puts up a good outing. I don't see him putting up less than 20 fantasy points, to be honest, unless he gets into some foul trouble, which is, could happen against Team USA. It's going to be really fast paced. And he could get played off the court, I suppose, but more times than not, I'm going to be having him in my in my main lineup. And then move over to Team USA. Yeah, so obviously they lost that first game to France, and they beat Iran 120-66, which is what Team USA should be doing to these teams, was the talent differential in their opponents. Yeah, so if I'm playing anybody from this team, it's going to be Damian Lillard or Kevin Durant, just because if this game is within 23.5 points, like the line indicates, they should play like 25 to 30 minutes, like somewhere in that range, and they should easily pay off their price tags to be one of the higher projected players on the slate. But if you think it blows out like 60 points like it did against Iran, I would probably avoid them. But I think more times than not that Durant and Lillard end up scoring like 35 plus fantasy points in these games that are within 23.5 points. So I really don't mind them. I do prefer Durant to Lillard. And if you're talking showdown, I'm probably going to end up playing both of them. But yeah, I've been playing Durant, like even last game out, like I had the salary to do so, and I felt comfortable because even if the game is going to blow out, they're going to be the reason for it. They're going to be the most active guys out there. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Team USA. I'm not really touching anybody else on that team. If you think that the game blows out by 60 points like it did against Iran, maybe play a guy like JaVale McGee. He will play very limited time. But yeah, he's very active when he's out there on the court. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. Best of luck. If you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe, like, comment below. What else? Join the Discord. It's going to be linked below, as well as the Patreon. And then it's going to be in the pinned comment down there by myself. But best of luck tomorrow, today, whenever you guys are watching this video. Should have the showdown video out shortly after this. But appreciate you guys being here. Best of luck. And until next time. Peace.